So today I'm going to tell you guys the story of how I almost lost my finger. I'm going to try and keep this as brief as possible because I have on many occasions tried to tell the story, but I always just end up rambling on and it becomes very long. So yeah, nonetheless, I'm going to tell you about how I almost lost my finger. So I can actually remember the exact date, surprisingly enough. For some reason I thought I might have forgotten it, but it was the 31st of March 2014. And I can't really remember the exact day. It definitely wasn't a Friday anyway, and it definitely wasn't a Monday. And I'm not sure if it was a Tuesday, or maybe it was a Wednesday. I don't think it was a Thursday. Anyways, I had to have this project done for the end of the year, and what I decided to do was a toy train, and obviously I had to make wheels for it. So what I had to do for the wheels was like get a block of wood and then make it into a cylinder and then cut that up and use it for the wheels. Now I'm not sure if you know what a bandsaw is, but for any of you guys who don't, I'll actually include a picture of it on screen. But basically a bandsaw is like this electric saw where the blade like kind of comes down really quickly and cuts the wood. Now I'm not trying to bash on my woodwork teacher, but when I suggested like on how I should cut the cylinder, I suggested using a regular handsaw, but my teacher suggested using a bandsaw. I'm not even joking, like recently it's almost as if whenever it gets to the end of the game I have my best luck. Anyway, I insisted I use a handsaw, he insisted I used a bandsaw, and in the end I just ended up using a bandsaw because, you know, that's what he told me to do. But if you guys are carpenters or kind of enjoy or have any interest in woodwork at all, then you guys will know one of the most stupid things you can do is cut a cylinder on a bandsaw. So this is where it gets a little tricky, so I have this block that I'm going to use to kind of tell you guys how it works. So basically the bandsaw platform is here and the block is here. The blade is coming down, and obviously since the platform is here and this block is flat, it's not able to like turn the block. You know, the block's just gonna stay stationary. But if you have a cylinder and the blade's coming down, there's no gap underneath here, so the blade is just gonna pull the cylinder and it's gonna spin like crazy and then just start flying all over the place. And that's what happened to me. Now what kind of happened at first was like I first put in the cylinder to the blade, and as soon as it touched off the blade it went flying and almost hit me in the face. I started holding it a bit tighter and it was fine, like I managed to cut the rest of it okay until the very last piece. This is kind of when crap hit the fan. So at the start the piece of wood was probably like 1.5 feet, 2 feet long, but then at the end it was probably only like an inch. There was probably only an inch left. So you can imagine, since I had to have like a really tight grip on the piece of wood, so I had like 1.5 centimeters of my fingers grabbing onto it at each side, if that even makes sense. So there was probably only like maybe 0.5 centimeter between my finger and the blade. I'm trying to figure out a way to like build up suspense and make this sound really climactic, but the only way I can really put it is it just sucked my hands into the blade. So the blade just got caught in the piece of wood and my fingers were like here, so it just pulled my hand into it. Now if you're extremely squeamish, I would recommend looking away because my finger was like almost hanging off. But if you're just a tiny bit squeamish, then honestly like it's not that bad. It's just a little blood, a little deep cut or whatever going through my finger. That's it. It's not really that bad. So just look if you want. I honestly don't really care. So here's the first picture. You can see the bandsaw there, and then my finger, it's wrapped up because that's actually the first day I got the cut, so I couldn't really, you know, unwrap it just to take a picture of it. But you can actually see that the blade kind of went into my middle finger as well. Thankfully it didn't go that deep, but it went deep enough to like where if I squeezed my middle finger, it actually like started bleeding a good bit. I could have sworn I just missed another triple. So here's the second picture. You can see my finger a bit more now. My finger's actually pretty pale because I was wearing the plaster all day yesterday. Yeah, you can see it's kind of deep back near the knuckle. And then you can actually see my nail, like my fingernail, it looks okay. The reason I'm saying that is because now it looks pretty messed up. Again, the third picture, nothing really like spectacular about this one. It just looks a bit more healed. Now, I'm not sure if this photo's on Twitter, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to get it for you guys. Either way, I'm going to show it for you now here on screen. That's what my finger kind of looks like now. As you can see, it's pretty messed up and my nail is like split in two. Basically what happened is like the nail bed got damaged, so now it's never going to grow right. I could have gotten surgery done to it or whatever, like early on. Too late to fix it now, the guy said, or the doctor said. Ooh, I'm on a streak here. But yeah, that's the story of how I almost lost my finger.